Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. About a minute behind, but we're doing all right.
That's on time, I feel like, actually.
Yeah. It's like millennial time. If you're not 10 minutes late, you're not. You're 10 minutes late, you're early for them. What's up, man? How you doing there, Ryan?
Good. Kenzo, we had our first volleyball tournament this weekend. That was a mess, and now like half the team's sick with some mystery virus or maybe the flu or whatever. So we've been running around to doctors' offices all day.
Yeah, I just got over being sick, and now Ashley Kay's out there. She is sick as a dog. She woke up this morning sick. So
she got that PBR flu, huh?
She got that. Let me tell you something, dude. We went to that. I bought it on a whim because we were going over there anyway to do some shopping and stuff, just a little weekend trip. And I said, "What's going on in Tulsa?" They had that event, so I bought some tickets real quick. Thought she would think it was dumb, but maybe entertaining. And now that's like she's looking up reality series for PBR. It's like her favorite thing now.
Yeah, they have like a team series kind of reality show thing on there. She'll love that.
So
it's fun, man. It's a lot of fun. If you've never been, do yourself a favor and go one time. You don't have to wear a cowboy hat or anything. You can just go enjoy people getting stepped on by giant animals.
Yeah, there were some injuries to be had. I was really impressed by the dudes that went no helmet, full cowboy hat, and just they were old school. Yeah, one dude was 50 out there. 50 years old.
Did it make you want to try it?
No, he got hurt before he got out of the stall.
He said no.
He got jammed against the wall and couldn't.
He wasn't actually even a bull rider. He's just some old dude back there.
Yeah, I think he was just lost, confused, and lost, and jumped down in there. But yeah, it was fun. Man. It was fun over there in Tulsa. So good stuff. Yeah, man, we're here today talking a little kayak fishing in Florida. It's a quick turnaround. I mean, Havasu was. It seemed like it was last weekend
on the other side of Earth.
Yeah,
from Havasu to Florida.
Yeah. So now we're going to Kissimmee. Are you going down there? Are you going to Florida?
Bro, stop. No, I've done that early Florida tournament a few times. We've got another volleyball tournament this weekend. I am full-time volleyball cameraman. So if anybody needs any fishing gear, holler at me. I got a garage full to get rid of.
There you go. You only have to have 3 in the points race, I believe. So I was eyeballing Dale Hollow, and then for 10 killers, of course, right down the road, and then I could probably finish up with Toledo. So I
could be persuaded for 10 killer and Dale Hollow. I like to give it a shot, not in the dead of winter, which is the only time that I've ever fished it. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see how the year shakes out. I got a lot of irons in the fire. This year, so
yeah. And 10 killer got them Tennessee smallies calling you.
I know that's one of the things. Like if I could just make a smallmouth run, might be a little more appealing for me. Of course, we covered Havasu where Drew wanted on smallmouth. I don't think Kissimmee's going to be one on smallmouth, so no, should be safe on that one.
Yeah, tell us about the guy we have here tonight that's going to tell us about the largemouth, not the smallmouth down in Florida.
So I hit up a couple guys in Florida that run a lot of the local trails and stuff, and I was like, who is the hammer in Florida? And they were like, Chris Mitchell. You got to have Chris Mitchell on. He's the Russ Snyders of Florida. And I was like, that's kind of a big, Russ has won about everything that there is to win in kayak fishing. I was like, those are big shoes to fill for you to be hanging something like that on somebody. And he was like, dude, he has won everything down here the last 5 years. So we're going to pick his brain and see if we can get, kind of a general idea of what Kissimmee's going to fish like without going too far into detail.
There you go. So if you're heading down there, know somebody that's heading down there. I know that the last check, they were well over 150 heading towards 200 anglers. So, and a lot of folks from the north just trying to get away from the cold. If you don't know what's going on in Florida, tonight's the night. And if you're catching us on the audio podcast later, we appreciate you. You probably pick up some juice over there as well. So it's going to be good.
So this is kind of a little bit of a guidance. I don't think he's going to give away, any secret spots or anything, but at least point you in the right direction where you can get down there and have a good time.
There you go. Hey, and speaking of the audio podcast, I want to say shout out to you guys for downloading and listening over there. For those that can't join us live, I know it's hard to join live at this time on Mondays or Tuesdays whenever we do this. So in honor of the audio podcast, guys, Ryan, I want to give away some Revos to the audio podcast people.
Okay. All right. Do it.
So audio podcast listeners, tonight is your night. All you have to do, or not tonight. Tonight's not your night. Probably tomorrow or the next day is your day when you actually hear this, because you're not hearing it right now. Just like before we've done this, go over there to the audio podcast and hit the review. You can give us 1 star, 5 stars. Say that my glasses are stupid and you don't like Ryan's beard, whatever you want to say. We'd love a good review.
All right.
Yeah. You can leave a good review, a bad review. I don't care, but we appreciate good reviews, but just leave a review and a rating, and that'll enter you in the contest, whether it's on Spotify or Apple Podcast.
I feel targeted, Jeff, honestly.
Well, I mean, I said they can say that. They shouldn't say that. You have a
okay. No, I mean, you're put negative thoughts in their head. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm just saying we're not. We can take it good or bad, but just give us a review and you'll be entered in the contest. That's the deal.
Man,
that's
Philip Hush, get out of here.
Man, tactical bass over here dropping bombs on you.
Banned.
Yeah. So there you go. Audio
Is Conrad in this tournament, Joseph? Is Conrad on the list? Did he sign up?
It's his time.
I hadn't seen or heard from Conrad in a minute, man. We had a good time at Eufaula when he came out, though. I was glad to meet the legend in person.
Yeah, well, Conrad, he's catching snookies or snook.
Yeah, he's YouTubing hard. They gave Chris Mitchell a shout out. They said he's got a really solid YouTube channel as well. So we'll get the lowdown on that too.
All right, I'll look that up in here in just a moment. We'll pull that up for him while he's giving us the juice. So good. Shout out to the sponsors, and we'll get this thing going with Chris. You guys didn't come here to hear us. You came here to learn about Florida fishing tonight. So Eco Fishing Shop, I said it last week, but they announced officially this week they're sponsoring the Natural State Kayak Anglers. They're already in with Moyak this year. They announced the date for the Big Bass 250. Did you see that, Ryan?
No, I'm never going back to that again. I'm going to take out an extra insurance policy if I try to make that one again.
Fly to Fayetteville, and then I'll drive you up there. And then
I'm going to have to do something. I'm not driving there again, ever.
Yeah. Fly to Fayetteville. We'll get a tandem kayak and see what happens up there.
Do a live stream from Chicks and Dicks.
Yeah. There we go. So they're sponsoring clubs all around the region. They just announced the Big Bass 250 event October 25th this year. So a little bit early, it's not earlier than last year, but it's far apart from any bet. Like Bassmaster finishes in September. They're done. State championship should be winding up, so there shouldn't be as many conflicts running into the
I think that was part of it. I mean, they had a great turnout last year, don't get me wrong, but it helps when you can deconflict on the bigger national stuff too.
Yeah, so it's going to be good. Big Bass 250. Hopefully they can push to 200 this year. It'd be cool if they could get to that 250 goal. Big Bass 250, the name of it is they're capped out at 250. So one of these days they'll get there because it's a great event. So Golf of Americas. What?
I don't know, man. John he's celebrating all the time.
I'll probably be on the Gulf of America this summer. I'll be down there this summer.
Go check it out. Check out the new waters.
Wading in the Gulf. It'll probably feel different when I get in there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Be oil all in it.
Oil and contraband all in the water. Yeah. Crazy. But yeah, Eco Fishing Shop, man, appreciate them. Go check out their website, ecofishingshop.com. You can find anything you need for kayak fishing and, of course, info on that tournament. Western Son Vodka. I see Ryan's got looks like the lemon back there in the back.
That's the lemon. I keep it on hand just in case things get wild.
Man, we were staying in downtown Tulsa this last weekend, like we were talking about for the PBR, and every place we went, they had a rack of that.
Yeah.
They had the Western tapped up and ready. So they had all the flavors, everything on the wall. So Tulsa.
It's around. You see it quite a bit. It's in a lot of the Nashville stomping grounds too now.
Yeah. So Tulsa's is Western Sun Country. Everywhere is. The nation is Western Sun Country. So there you go.
Obviously.
WesternSunDistillery.com. And you can go there and find a dealer near you. So there you go. Pro Guide Lithium, they're sold through Eco, but also you can go to Pro Guide Lithium's website and get hooked up with any battery you need for one of your 15 graphs that you probably have now, or your motors. So there you go. Pro Guide Lithium, best in the business.
Yeah.
I already said we're doing the Revo giveaway tonight to the audio podcast listeners, but we'd still appreciate a like and share from everybody else. Unless you got something in your pocket to give these live listeners tonight, Ryan.
I don't have anything in my pocket tonight.
All right.
Enough.
So there we go. We're on credit with you live folks. So there we go. There we go. But we'd appreciate a like and share anyway, or comment on YouTube. Let's get into the show with Mr. Chris.
Let's do
Learn
it.
a little bit about this Florida fishing in case we ever go down there, right?
One day, brother.
Chris Mitchell, welcome to the show, sir. Look at that wall back there. I think he is the Russ of Florida. Look at that.
Yeah, I heard that, and then I saw him when he hopped on earlier. I was like, all right, okay, there might be something to this.
It's filling up. I'm gonna have to start putting it on my ceiling here soon.
Yeah.
His bed frame is actually just checks stacked up.
Yeah.
It's not an actual bed frame.
House
There.
of cards. There you go.
And shout out to Chris for having good audio. I messaged him earlier. I was like, if you got AirPods or something, he's like, oh, no. I'm on my computer. I got a legit setup. So
Yeah.
that should help the audio listeners.
Yep.
Well, Chris, welcome to the show,
prepared.
man. Thanks for taking the time. While we get going here, what's the name of your YouTube channel so I can pull it up for the folks?
It is Chris Mitchell Fishing on YouTube, and
That
I'm
makes it
gonna go
easier. You almost
go
put
ahead
it in
and-
your title, it looks like.
I didn't put that there. I don't know where that came from.
He's giving hints.
But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and private all my Kissimmee videos. So
No, hurry. Get to his YouTube now. Save them. Download them. Hurry.
All right, I'm dropping his YouTube channel in the comments. We'll throw it up on the screen here in a little bit. But yeah, we're getting some Florida juice tonight. So before we get into it, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're at in Florida, a little bit of your history with kayak fishing, etc.
So I practically lived in Florida my whole life. We moved down here when I was like 6 or 7 from Virginia. I've been bass fishing ever since I moved down here, and it's always been a thing, even though I'm like 30 minutes from the Mosquito Lagoon. So I'm in the Brevard area.
Gotcha.
And I go red fishing every once in a while, but just bass fishing has been my thing for my whole life. So started out in like the boats and stuff, and I was doing co-angler stuff for the BFLs, and I just didn't like being in the back of the boat. I didn't have money at the time to get an actual good boat to do tournaments, like to do boat tournaments. So that's when I started going to the kayaks. I started kayaking probably about 5-6 years, something like that. So once I got into the kayak stuff and started doing tournaments, I just fell in love with it, and I just went full force on kayak tournaments, and that's when the whole kayak scene started blowing up too. So it just fell perfectly in line with how I like to fish and how I have control of what I want to do, because being in the back of the boat was just, it was it for me.
Yeah, if you've never fished as a co-angler out of the back of the boat, it's not a lot of fun. Unless you know your boat, or if you're fishing like a team trail or something and they let you come up on the deck and cast
Yeah,
with them, it's
right.
usually a sad day off the back.
But it was a good opportunity to learn stuff from like the really good guys that you got paired up with. Hopefully, sometimes you get paired up with people that just don't know what's going on. Other guys are straight hammers, so I learned a lot, but I wanted to do my own thing. So, yeah.
What's your local club that you fish with mostly? Because I know Florida has several local kayak clubs. They have a Bass Nation chapter now, if I'm not mistaken. And then obviously you got some KBF plaques up there on the wall too. So you fish a little bit of everything down there.
Yeah. There was one trail that's no longer around, which is the I forgot the name. I can't think of the name.
KBT.
That's why they're not. That's why they're not around anymore.
Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, the new one that's like taking over that one's the FKBT, the Florida Kayak Bass Trail. That's a standalone trail that brings in good numbers, brings in good payouts and stuff like that. They try to go all over the state of Florida and try to serve everybody as best as they can. And then the other one is the Bass Nation. Then they have 4 different regions. They got the Northwest, Northeast, Central, and South. And I mainly fish the South and Central because I'm in the Central area. So, yeah, those are the 2 clubs, I guess you can say.
Jim with the funny comments. So out of those, what do they fish in the South? Like what, I'm not familiar. I've fished down to like Headwaters area, that neck of the woods, but what's encompassed in the South region?
For the South region, you got Okeechobee, Itstapoga, Placid. It's not very much lakes.
That's what I was wondering. That's why I was asking. I'm like, what bass fisheries, I guess.
Right.
in
I mean,
the South.
Arbuckle was one of them too, and that's part of the chain as well, the Kissimmee chain. But yeah, they don't have very much lakes, but they do have a little south region down there, just for the guys that live in like Miami.
Yeah.
Or, Homestead down there. They don't have to drive all the way across the state to compete. So the Central is the biggest, I think, out of all four of them. I think Central brings in the most people.
What's your favorite lake to fish in Florida out of all of them?
Well, everybody already knows. It's Lake Kissimmee.
Ah,
That's
Makes
my
sense
favorite
why
one.
you're here.
call it a shot. Call it a shot.
Are you gonna pull a Blake Abbey and come out and just mop the floor?
I'm gonna try my best, but I'm not gonna promise anything.
we may have you back on next week. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I hope so. I'm crossing my fingers, but I mean, the fishing's been kind of weird. We had that strong cold front come down and just put a damper on things, but we got a nice warm.
How far did that cold front push down? Because obviously we saw like North Florida getting like 8 or 10 inches of snow, which is like unheard of. Like obviously it doesn't snow often in Florida, but they had like record-setting snowfall in North Florida. How did that affect kind of the fish down there and the temperatures down there?
It made the waters cold drastically. We had flurries up in like Deltona, which is just a little bit north of the Kissimmee area.
Yeah.
But yeah, it cooled the waters down a lot, and it got the fish, I think, pretty much lockjawed. But they're starting to move up. You can see with all these other people's pre-fishing and stuff that they're starting to move up. They're starting to get bit. Like I got bit yesterday. I have an idea what they're doing, but they're kind of like in limbo, is what I call it. But they're just trying to figure out if they want to actually move all the way up or just stay where they're at in case there's another cold front.
Yeah.
They'll stay put, but
tell people, like, for folks that aren't familiar with Florida fishing, number one, what the fish do when a cold front like that comes in. But number two, talk about, kind of the timing of when they like to spawn, because I think a lot of people, myself included, when you go to Florida in like January or February, you're not expecting to see fish on beds because we're still a few months away, 6 hours north.
right, yeah, they'll start spawning early, but you'll get like a really good push in like end of February to March, but they'll start spawning early now. It just really depends on how warm our winters are. If we have a really warm winter, then they'll even spawn even earlier in like December. But yeah, when we have a cold front and the water temperatures drop, I like to think that they use grass as like blankets.
Yeah.
And they just huddle up in that grass. The best one is the hydrilla, because that just keeps them isolated in that little warm spot that they have from the sun and stuff. So that's a little tidbit there. Just find some hydrilla patches.
Yeah, and if it's a big cold front, those fish know that they don't have to eat. They know it's going to warm up in a few days. Like
their metabolisms just drop like that as soon as the water gets. So they're just holding steady till it's about time for them to start moving again.
So obviously we have a large contingent of anglers north of Florida coming down. Some may have been there before. Many probably have not. They're excited about the bass schedule and excited about the season getting started. What's the number one thing that you hear or see, like a misconception from an angler, say, coming from Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas, heading down to Florida, and they're coming, you can't necessarily bring, you're not bringing a rock crawler and, a football jig down to Florida. So what's the number one misconception you see, from folks from the north heading down that they try to make translate that just doesn't work?
Everything.
Well, I mean, a lot of these finesse fishing stuff is starting to like make a come through Florida, because you got that forward facing stuff with the little minnows. Those are starting to really shine out here, and I've seen people drop shot even in like 4 foot of grass. They'll make their drop shots like 5 or 6, and they'll sit there and wiggle it forever. And I mean, those things work. You just can't be afraid to try it. But the very like power fishing techniques is the way I like to do it. That's the best way to do it out here.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you know, some staples like, you know, pretty much anywhere in the South, Sinkos, weightless Sinkos and stuff around grass, like that stuff translates down. What kind of threw me for a loop was like the giant freaking worms that people throw down there. You'll pull up on an old man, he'll be throwing like a foot long purple worm or something. I didn't, I wasn't ready for that the first trip down there when we went. Yeah,
those guys that throw those big worms like that, they'll sit there and just drag it by like a centimeter an hour. They'll just move it, take a sip of coffee, move it, grab a sandwich, move it.
I actually like that. I was like, oh man, this is perfect. This is great.
I can't do that. There's no way I can do that.
Maybe Trump will lay me off by next week, right? And I can go after all. Don't
give up,
fun.
Jeff. You're
on
awesome.
The
cut line.
That sounds awesome.
It's usually a pretty good sized fish when you get bit on a worm that big, dragging it through.
Especially
so what you talked about kind of power fishing. What are your top 3 favorite presentations?
Jackhammer,
naturally.
Yeah. Just flipping a Senko into the pads. That's kind of like power fishing. It's just kind of like keep moving. You're not like sitting there soaking it. And then another power fishing one is I like just top. I don't know if you really consider topwater power fishing, but I guess you could.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Topwater is like the best, of course.
When does obviously we're sitting here in January. When does topwater come into play, or is it always in play in Florida because these lakes are super shallow?
I don't think it's in play right now. I've tried some topwater, but they're not really wanting to chase. But when the water warms up, it by the end of the week it could happen. But usually topwater is really going off at like April, May.
Makes sense. That's logical.
Whenever I've watched this stuff on TV with Bassmaster or whatever, I see people using topwaters that they don't necessarily use in other parts of the country. Are you talking about that kind of deal with the prop baits and things like that, or your traditional big plugs?
I'm talking about big plugs. Like I like the 6 Sense Catwalk and the Dogma. It just depends on their mood on like if they want something a little smaller or a little bit bigger. But those are the 2, and then the Vega Frog on the mats.
Some pro tips.
Yeah, fair enough. What about those other prop baits? When do those come into play? Because I see those, like I said, depending on where they're fishing at down there in Florida, those seem to come into play a certain time of year.
Yeah, during the spawn, those old prop baits during the spawn.
Was it Scott Martin on Okeechobee that hammered them on a prop bait like maybe 2 years ago? Or am I completely way off on that? I think it was Scott Martin. He like pulled up on one pocket and just drilled them with a prop bait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really throw too much of that because it pisses me off because it gets tangled up. But it just gets tangled up too much, so I just kind of throw it off to the side and do something else. But yeah, I guess around now.
Did jerk baits come into play around like the grass edges and stuff? I mean, is that a viable tactic down there?
Yeah. Jerk baits around the grass edges. Sometimes you have to let it sit there forever, just not even move it, and they'll just come up and yank it. You won't even see them. Like I'm using my forward facing, and I'm looking for stuff. I'm just kind of throwing, and I see my bait, and then this fish will come out of the grass out of nowhere. You don't even see the fish because they're like deep in the grass, but they know that your bait's there because it's making noise and stuff, and they'll just dart out and whack it.
The general himself, Steve-O, knows all the facts. That was the dead horse that Scott Martin was throwing.
Steve on the Great American Tour, Ryan. He went through Colorado, went to the Chiefs game.
That boy ain't been home in 6 months. I hope he turned his water off before he left so his pipes didn't freeze. They've been everywhere. He posted a picture at Arrowhead Stadium the other night. I don't even know if he's going to get to Florida in time for the tournament.
He's up there helping the refs cheat. He's doing a good job.
Oh boy, don't get Nick Huddleston in here. He's on the conspiracy theories already.
Oh, geez, yeah. Good job, Steve-O. Fun following along. But yeah, any questions for Chris about Florida fishing? Drop them in the comments. He's an encyclopedia of Florida fishing knowledge. He was kind of worried about giving up too much juice tonight, but I'm sure he'd be willing to give you some general.
He didn't want to get in trouble. He's like, "What am I allowed to say?" And I was like, "This is a public platform, baby. You can say anything. Anybody can listen to this. We encourage them to, but it's kind of at your own detriment how specific you want to get on stuff."
Yeah, I kind of gave away something there at the end, but no one.
But you guys have to figure out what it might have been.
Yeah. I get so in tune to fishing, I just start blurting out stuff.
Well, there's a difference between telling somebody what lure to throw and then them figuring out on the whole Kissimmee chain where they're supposed to throw it. So
right,
I think people have a harder time figuring out the where instead of the what. I mean, a lot of people go down with a jackhammer and in their hand, but finding the fish to throw it at's the difference.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a second, man. Tell us about breaking down water down there in Florida, because, coming from up here where I'm at, for example, we're looking at these long creek arms and main lake points, secondary points, and rocks and all this stuff. Well, a lot of those Florida lakes, it's just like big bowls and delta type situations down there. So how do you break the water down in Florida if you're coming down to try to fish a tournament?
Like the way you guys look at contour lines with like points and stuff, you have to look at these lakes the same way with grass as contours. So you're looking at like a grass point that goes out in the main lake. If you want to start there, then you work your way up the grass point, kind of like you would off of a ledge point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of the same concept, because they'll use the grass lines as their highways, like they use contours as their highways in like different parts of the country. They'll use the grass lines to move around and look for bait balls and stuff like that. So you just have to kind of just look at the grass lines, kind of like contours on the lake. Can't really look at the real contours on the map because
there's not a ton of depth change. Like there's not those giant drop offs and stuff like that. So you're saying, kind of the grass is more the indicator than anything else. But what about these lakes? I remember fishing the Harris chain. We went to one of the northern lakes, and it was, it had a grass contour on the edge, but there were these just giant flats of, kind of big chunky grass island type stuff. Like, how does that stuff come into play? Obviously, as I feel like, the majority of anglers, everyone looks at relation to the bank. But in these kind of big bowl-shaped lakes, how do you kind of break that down to figure out where the fish might position out in the main body of water itself?
Well, you can't really... There's very little lakes that you can look at the bank at all. So, I just lost my train of thought. But what was that question again? Sorry.
Like the main body of the lakes, the big grass islands and channels and stuff, like out, kind of out in the middle of the lake, I guess, is for lack of a better term.
So
are there indicators that might make it a higher percentage area, I guess is a better way to phrase the question.
Just a good variety of grass. You don't want all the same type of grass. And if you can find any other kind of structure, I'm not going to say what kind of structure, but if you can find any other kind of stuff, what you're looking for is just a good mix of different things. It's like if you see an island that has just nothing but Kissimmee grass, and there's a different island that has Kissimmee grass and pads, I suggest go to the pad one.
So like a transition point.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, and then if you're really good at side scan, if you can find shell, that's another one. Because I don't know, I can never find shell, but I don't look for that.
I found a couple. I think it was a Popka maybe when we were out fishing that. Found some shell beds and with that some brim beds and stuff. And that's another thing. Like what are the forage options on the Kissimmee chain? Like what should people be thinking that their bait is trying to imitate?
Bluegill, shad.
That's it.
That's about. Yep.
All right.
I mean, there might be crawfish down there too, but bluegill, they just love the bluegill and the shad too. They'll group up on that shad, but those ones that are on shad, they'll move in like 2 seconds. If you find them a schooling and you go over there, they'll be gone in like 5 seconds. But
Yeah,
it's hard to catch those. But the bluegill ones, those are it.
are there a
That's
bunch
what
of shiner fishermen down there?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot.
The first time I ever saw like a old man in a john boat, I think we were on Lake Martin fishing at KBF like a million years ago. It may have been Lake George. I'm in a big pad flat, and this dude comes like push poling up in like a 12-foot john boat, and he throws out 2 cane poles with shiners, and he's snatching 8-pounders just as fast as he wants to. And I was like, oh well,
Yeah.
that's what they eat down here. I don't know why I'm flipping this bluegill jig around. I should have brought some shiners.
Yep. There's a lot more shiner fishermen down in different parts of the lake. That there's not a whole lot in Kissimmee, but you'll find a few every once in a while. But it's not that bad.
Do those work like shrimp boats? Do the shiner fishermen draw in the bass? Do they just follow them around, do you think?
I don't know. I never got close enough though. I kind of stay away from them because I don't want to deal with their stuff.
I bet,
I want to watch them catch fish all day.
Yeah.
I bet a kayak angler will draw in the shiner fisherman though if you land a big one.
That's
Oh yeah,
probably
trust-
true.
It has happened. Yeah, there's people that they don't care. If they see you catching a fish on a kayak, they'll just come fish right next to you like they're best friends.
love that.
It's the worst thing, but you do what you do.
It's part of it. It's
Yep.
part of the deal. We got a few questions for you, man. Let's see. Ronald Singletary over on YouTube. What's the heaviest weight you've punched with down there in Florida?
2 ounce. 2 ounces is the heaviest I go. You could go 2.5. I think they make them, but I just use 2. I do pretty good with that. If I have to go through anything thicker to have a 2 ounce go through, then I just kind of keep going. But yeah, 2 ounce.
Let's get technical with that. How do you have that set up? What kind of hook, line, rod setup for that heavy punch?
65-pound braid, but I'm probably gonna go up to 80. I haven't never broke off on 65, but for this tournament, I'm gonna go 80 just in case.
Basically putting rope in there.
Right. Yeah.
He's not even using a reel. He's just hand lining it.
That's good.
Florida man.
Yeah. That 80-pound, 65-pound braid. 2 bobber stops because you don't want that weight coming up the line and creating a bunch of wiggle room for that hook to come out of that fish's mouth. I use a lot smaller hook than a lot of people use. I use a 3/0 flipping hook, and I use the smallest bait that will fit on that 3/0 hook. That's my go-to, and yeah. So the rod I use a heavy to extra heavy, and the reel the fastest reel I can get.
Now, what's
Bath
your
salt flavored cheese.
Jeez.
We got the
Zombie.
stereotypes coming out. Do you have a pet raccoon or a T-top Trans Am by chance, Chris?
No.
Okay.
I do have
All
some
right.
raccoons in my backyard, but they're not my pets.
But they're not pets.
Not yet. They ain't his pets yet.
Oh my gosh.
Now, Chris, expand a little bit on that small bait on there. Is that just to ensure the bass gets the whole thing down in that thick mat? Is that the idea behind it?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think it really matters what goes through that mat as long as you just get them on the head, because they're just gonna bite it regardless. But there is times where I would swap that smallest bait out to something maybe a little bit bigger with paddle tails, because a lot of times when you punch in there, you want to pump it a couple times,
Yeah.
and that paddle tail will kind of get their reaction when they're maybe if I'm punching here and they're like over here, they'll see it and come over and get it.
Kind
The
of
small
entice
bait,
them a little more.
yeah, the smaller bait won't really get them to get their attention unless you get them on their head. But yeah,
Okay.
What setup do you use on your chatterbait? Because I mean, obviously you're fishing around pretty heavy cover for most part, and for the people that haven't went and fished Florida, everything's grass.
Yeah.
Everything is thick grass. So what are you doing there to kind of mitigate your break-offs or something if you happen to stick a 10-pounder?
for the chatterbait, I run a medium heavy 7.2, just a standard rod, and I was using the St. Croix Bass X rods. I still have them, but I'm starting to transition over to building my own, as you can see there.
There you go. The rod
That's
shop.
Yes, that one's actually for another competitor. I'm actually.
Oh, there you go. You should make an extra week in the middle.
Yeah, right. But yeah, medium heavy 7.2, 7.4. I throw 15. I run on the lighter end of the line. I run 15. A lot of people use 17, but I like the way that the 15 lets it have a little bit more action, and I can feel a little bit better. So 15-pound fluorocarbon and like a 7.2 gear ratio reel. So yeah, I mean, I never had a problem with that. Knock on wood. But that. Yeah. Yeah. I caught my personal best in our Bass Nation championship on 15-pound fluorocarbon using a speed worm, and that was a 10.8. And he was up on the grass and everything. But
that was something, and I fell in love with that bait too. That was something that I didn't really give a lot of credit to. Was the speed worm till you go to Florida and everybody's throwing a speed worm, and I didn't in my head when I mean this is 9 years ago I guess when we first went down there. I'm like, yeah, whatever, like they know the difference between a speed worm and whatever crap I was throwing. They do, and the speed worm is super versatile. You can run it on top, you can put a weight on it and swim it through the grass. I throw that everywhere now. I was throwing it on Caddo when the last time we were down there around those cypress trees. Like that's a clutch bait.
Yeah, I never really got to try it in different states. I mean, I've always heard that just Florida is the place to use it, but
it is indeed the place to use it. But they'll eat it. I mean, anywhere that you're, where you would think of fishing, a swim bait or something, even like that bigger profile. And I throw the Z-Man. They make like a Magnum speed worm, and that thing, at least they're not pulling the tail off of it all day long. That Elastec will keep it going for a while.
I was sitting here looking at Chris's YouTube channel. It looks like you got a speed worm mold right there.
Yeah, I'm working on my own, playing with the different, how soft or how hard I want the bait and stuff. I was tired of going out and buying a pack for $8 and where I could just, if I need some real quick, I can make the color I want, get everything the way I want it. So
I like that title. I started a failing fishing brand.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see
Tyler
how it goes.
Zingerly, it probably would work on Dardanelle on those 3 patches of grass. Other than that, pass.
Tyler lying like a son of a gun. I know he catches them on a speed worm.
Yeah, look at him.
I know he does.
I don't know if anything works in Arkansas.
I don't know what that middle video is about. The I love hot mom's hat, but I love hot moms too, Chris. So there you go. Hot mom. Anyway.
Hot mom. Yeah, you're gonna get slapped on camera here to me.
Singular. Yeah, there we go. Let's see here. We got a few more questions. I'm not going to say that whole thing, but something here. What's that say? Here, anonymous outdoors. My God, were you overwhelmed with the number of bass lakes that they put on the list for Kissimmee? Obviously, you have favorites, but did you try to pre-fish many of the other lakes there?
No, I wasn't overwhelmed with how many lakes. I mean, I was kind of surprised one of the lakes made it. But I mean, I've only fished the one that I was surprised about, but Kissimmee's my thing, so I'm focusing on that.
There you go.
There we go. All right, easy enough. Raymond Sanchez over on YouTube. You can only grab one rod and reel combo. What you grabbing?
One rod and reel combo. Brand specific or like?
No, I'd say probably action
Yeah,
gear
probably,
ratio type thing.
7.2 medium heavy, 7-2 gear ratio. If you need to slow it down a little bit, you can always just force yourself to be slow. But yeah, that's about.
What was that? That was Ewing and Marshall that were sitting next to each other on the Harris chain, sitting right next to each other, and they're both throwing the same chatterbait. And Ewing was, what was it, Jeff? He was killing it on the grass edge. Yeah. And that was what was triggering the bites. And Marshall sat and watched him catch. It was 113 inches. I mean, it was some astronomical total. And Marshall's sitting over there not getting bit at all.
Yeah, I mean, that presentation is like everything. It's crazy.
What else we got started up here?
We got Galen McGrew fishing over on YouTube. What's your favorite hollow body frog?
Lately, it's been the new 6 Sense Hush Frog, the Vega Hush
Hush
Frog.
frog. Like a
It
hush
has
puppy?
really, yeah. It has really good hookup ratios, but the caveat on that, they don't last very long, but they are really good.
Super delicate.
Yeah.
Do you boil your hollow body frogs or leave them laying on the dash of your truck and let them get soft in the sun?
No, I don't do any more of that.
Nope.
No.
Ain't falling for none of that.
I just take out the package and I just throw it.
Same. I'm lucky if I find one in my black pack somewhere to throw.
Right. Yeah.
Any more questions for Chris about Florida fishing? Please put them in the comments. We'll get them over to him. Want to get this info out to you before. I always want to say Kissimmee, which is just completely inaccurate.
Of course you do.
Kissimmee, before this Kissimmee tournament. Hell, I tried to spell like Mississippi and put 2 sets of S's in there. I didn't know what I was doing.
Jeff is a bit of a linguist from Arkansas, or from Ohio, technically, but
Ohio,
yeah, apparently Arkansas's rubbed off on him hard.
The Ohio State. I didn't go there.
here.
That's the problem.
Get out of here. Chris, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people coming from out of state to fish Florida that they make? Like, what do you see people going wrong?
They I don't know if they're doing anything wrong, but they do get overwhelmed. It's not that they're doing anything wrong. They get overwhelmed with how much everything looks fishable.
Yeah,
But where it's not, you have to. There's a lot of things you have to look out for.
fishing a lot of dead water.
Yeah, there's a lot of spraying going on, and it's just. I mean, sometimes you can catch them in where they sprayed, but
Yeah, not on Chickamauga. If they spray it, you might as well just skip on down to the next creek. It'll kill a grass flat in a heartbeat.
you know,
Fish don't like chemicals. Turns out.
yeah. People in Okeechobee say otherwise. They say they drink it. They say
Really?
the bass drink the chemicals and they stay put.
Man,
I
they're just saying that because Okeechobee catches all that runoff from all the fields and stuff.
You know, the weirdest things down in Florida is that tannic water. Is that what you call it? Where it looks like it's stained water, but it's really not. It's clear
Looks
water.
like it's
It
no
just looks-
visibility, but they can see the whole way through.
It's like coffee almost, like light coffee.
yeah.
I would bet that's something throws you for a loop when you're coming for the first time down there and see something like that.
Yeah, you'll automatically think that it's just dirty water, but it's really not. It's just, it's like tea.
Yeah.
So-
What's the antidote to that? You just treat it like clear water, or is there a special technique for fishing when you run into that?
I don't know the answer to that. I just fish it.
Keep fishing.
Yeah.
What are your
I mean-
what are your favorite soft plastics colors for that tannic water?
Yeah, June bug, black and blue. You kind of don't want to. When I throw anything white or anything, you can see like a halo around
Yeah.
it. I never really get bit with that, and then I just don't like the look of it. So I kind of stay more of a natural color, like a black and blue June bug. Kind of get away with green pumpkin, but yeah.
Yes, Tyler. I think black and blue is the standard in Florida.
Yeah.
That's what they'll all tell you. You can throw anything as long as it's June bug.
June bug, black bug. And that June bug works on Florida strains all over the country. It's crazy. I don't know why that's in their DNA, but they sure enough like it.
Yep.
Let's see here. Over on Facebook, Carlos on Facebook, favorite lake at the Rock, ROC. There you go.
Yeah, the Rock. I don't fish it too often.
That's a strip pit, right? Isn't that like an old strip mine or something?
Yeah, it's some rock quarries or something like that. It's over in Lakeland, and it's like an hour or something away from me. I don't really fish it all that much. I usually just fish all the bodies of water I have big tournaments on and stuff. But the Rock, I always just go to B because that's the easiest. Lake B, that's the easiest to put in and have a little bit of fun. But yeah,
That's one of those online tournament lakes, isn't it? Isn't that where those dudes go out there and wreck them in the online
you can.
stuff?
Yeah. They'll have some in-person tournaments out there, but it's just the logistics of it. It's too hard because you have to have everybody go in and sign in, go pay for the little permit thing, and then it's just a mess.
One of
So,
those pay public lakes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like $3 or something.
Not bad.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the list over here. They're up to 188 anglers for the event. Big turnout.
Getting back on it now, baby. Back out here in the South.
You know, everybody that Ryan talked to said, "Hey, Chris Mitchell's the guy in Florida." But you know, you're the guy, but you also know the others down there in Florida. Who are some names to watch in this event from Florida that could jump up there and win this thing?
Well, I'm not sure exactly who's signed up. I know some close buddies of mine, like Blake Abbey. He's putting everything into it he can.
I love that guy.
Yeah,
I love Blake. He's a good dude. Sorry, Jeff.
Seth.
I like Blake. You don't like me, but I like him.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I didn't mean to start anything.
No. You did. That was an inside joke from a previous episode.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Another person is Seth Taylor. He's a hammer down here too. And there's only 2 people I know.
So those are the only two. That's only two hammers to worry about.
It's only 2 worth of.
So I don't mean to leave anybody out, but that's the only 2 people I come top.
Yeah, but the rest of y'all need to step your game up because you're not even on the radar.
Need to get known.
Chris gonna have people waiting in the parking lot. All those Florida dudes down there with their pet alligators and shit, trying to take them out.
I'm reading through here. We got Wendy Biles, Amy Brown down there in Florida with the Florida initials on the list.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch out for Wendy. She's something else. With she'll just go out there with no graph and just wax everybody out of nowhere.
Really?
That's how this stuff started. And honestly, if we could rewind the clock, I'd take it back to that point right there. Get rid of the motors, get rid of the graphs. Everybody's just out there feeling it, going fishing.
I think she just got a graph too, so we're gonna have to watch out.
Okay.
Dug out might send her a graph down there.
I'm picking this guy just because of his Tourney X profile picture, Jake Traba with the Ric Flair. So,
you remember Jacob Traba? Traba's a Cali boy now. Traba moved down there, and I think he's big boat fishing mostly. But Traba's a hammer, and I don't know if he still has it. He brought, where were we at? We were down at Caddo for the KBF National Championship, and he pulls up in a van, and he has this giant, just foaming at the mouth pit bull trying to like murder everybody in the parking lot. And I was like, that is a solid defensive move.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to launch with Traba.
Who's the it's disrespectful, I can't remember her name, but who's the big bass legend from down there, the lady down there in
Mama
Florida?
Jean.
Yeah, is she gonna fish this thing?
I don't know if she is or not. Mama Jean's up around Tallahassee area.
Yeah, Jean Wilson, right?
Yeah, Jean Wilson. Yeah. She has caught some giant bass, several double digits. I would venture to say probably 20 double digits. But she's got a couple, fish and wildlife replica mounts made and stuff. But I don't know if she'll venture down to Kissimmee. But if you get around Tallahassee, she'll hurt your feelings.
There you go. So yeah, it should be fun to watch. Is the cutoff gone by yet, or can people still sign up for this thing? Do we know, Ryan?
That's a Steve-O question.
That's the 30th. I think.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought they still had a couple days left, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm trying to look on this thing here. Yeah, okay, 30th at 11 p.m. So you got a couple days. Get signed up. See if this. I bet it breaks 200. We always have a few procrastinators in the bunch.
I think so. I mean, I feel like, anything in that part of the country, especially people love those early Florida tournaments too, because you're usually getting out of winter weather where you're from and get down there. And even though, 60 or 70 may not seem warm in your mind, it's pretty warm when you're coming out of 19 or so.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. I'm hoping we get to interview Chris again. We got another question for you here, Chris. Real Journey on YouTube. Real with the R-E-E, like Real Journey. Nice name. How many times have you won AOY in state championships in Florida?
Let's see.
Dang, that's the flex right there. Just turn around and look.
I got 2 AOYs.
Let's see, 11, 12, 13.
He's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. It's a lot. If you got them on wallpaper, it's a lot. So there
yeah. If it covers the wall of any room in your house, you're probably doing all right.
2 AOYs and 2 championships.
I like that you got a couple rods right there next to the bed, like a gun, like ready to grab.
Just in case somebody pulls up in the middle of the night, boy.
Those are ones I messed up on. They're just hanging out.
Carlos Maldonado wants to know: do you like Kenansville? Have you fished Kenansville? Yeah,
I do when it's not topped out with hydrilla. So there's that, and duck hunters. duck hunters are ruthless out there, but it's duck season's over now. But yeah, Keensville's good.
Keansville's not too far from Headwaters, right? Isn't it kind of?
It's like right next to it, but the way to get to it, you have to go up and around.
Yeah.
It's
I thought it was pretty close as the crow flies.
yeah.
You mentioned something there, Chris, about the being choked out on that lake you mentioned. You know, Florida's all about the grass. There's a lot of places like that. How much is too much? Can you get to a spot and you look at it and it's just too much to even mess with?
There's not well, if it's too much, if you can't get across that hydrilla and get to places where boats and stuff can't get to, and that was the way to do it with just like Keansville, Headwaters. Those are about the only, like, those reservoir type style lakes that are like choked out like that. Those, almost having 2 kayaks is like the way to do it, because if you have anything bigger than like a 12, then it's just gonna be a barge to get through.
What do you fish out of now?
Right now I'm fishing out of a PWR.
Okay.
Yeah.
More and more of those, Ryan, we're seeing.
Yep. You got it rigged up. You motored out. You got a Newport or something. Torpedo on the back.
No, I got an XI3 on the front.
Okay.
But
all right.
I'm starting this after this tournament. I'm going to switch into the XTR.
Oh.
So
that thing. I mean, I want to see. I haven't seen one in person yet. But that thing looks like a baby bass boat. Like you can put whatever on that.
Yeah. Yeah, but the PWR is good though, because you can. That's like the type of kayak you can paddle across topped out hydrilla and it won't have a problem with. So, yeah.
Easier for the traditional kayakers when you have to bust out the paddle.
Yeah.
I got into the habit to where I would forget to even bring a paddle. I mean, that's how I think that's how far away from kayak fishing we've gotten, is where you don't even bring a paddle with you when you go kayak fishing.
Right.
You like Jordan need a tow because you can't paddle. You sit back in.
No, hell no. Jordan won't bring a drive, a paddle, a battery. He won't bring any of the necessities to move himself. He just brings a cell phone. He'll figure out how to get out of there. Don't worry about old Marshall.
That's wild. Any more questions for Chris? We're gonna wrap this thing here in just a few minutes. Let him get out of here. But good stuff, man. Appreciate you sharing the juice. Looking forward to seeing how the results go down.
How long have you been YouTubing, Chris? That's a question that I have for you.
Oh yeah, there you go.
March will be 10 years.
10 years.
10
early,
years?
Early adopter.
Holy cow. All right. That's
10 years.
Pretty solid run there, pal.
Yeah. It started in 2015.
What kind of rod blanks are you using for your builds?
I'm experimenting with a bunch of different ones. Right now I'm using the MHX blanks, but I'm liking the elite style ones. But yeah, I'm open to different suggestions and stuff. Like I'm gonna try rain shadows here soon.
Yeah, rain shadow and mud hole are kind of the top two that I usually hear.
Right.
Real quick question from YouTube. What's your number one tip for YouTube? You've been sticking with it a long time. You got to learn some tips and tricks, some do's and do nots over there.
Yeah, number one tip is if you want to be serious about it, you have to just keep going. I mean, I have 5,000 subscribers after this 10 years, but you just have to just keep plugging along, and just expect when you're trying to fish and film at the same time, everything's just gonna. Your time on the water is just gonna double because you have to worry about your filming and fishing at the same time. So you just have to keep that in the back of your head and make sure you're okay with that, because a lot of people.
Do you film a lot during tournaments, or is that added pressure that you don't want?
No, I film every time I go out. So, I mean, there's times where I'm like super focused and I won't talk at the camera, so I'll have to figure something out after. But I just let it record. Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Very good. So you're obviously great down in Florida. I see some checks behind you from places outside of Florida. You got a schedule to head out of state at all this year?
Yeah, I'm going to do this one. I want to do Dale Hollow and then Toledo Bend. But if it was perfect world, I'd do all of them if I could afford it all. But yeah, those are the other two that I'm going to be doing, and the Lake Fork. I'll be doing that.
If you go to Toledo, don't go to a biker clubhouse and challenge them to shoot pool. they'll cut your tires. So just that's a pro tip for Toledo Bend. Don't do that.
No, I don't plan on doing.
Follow me for more tips and tricks. That'll be available on my YouTube in 2028. Once the statute of limitations is out.
Right.
What are you doing, Jeff? Your taxes? You
I'm
very
texting back to people. I got people sending messages over here on YouTube, Facebook, everywhere else about this stuff. So I'm trying to keep up. The fishing mommy, don't forget your paddle on Toho, she says. There you go. Thanks, fishing mommy.
I see Randy down there about the OF account.
Buddy,
Yeah.
Randy has been on fire in the comments, and I unfortunately
Little do
can't
you
read
know.
many of them. Oh, no.
Little do you know,
Well, see, how do you think he pays for all these tournaments?
my hot mom's hat doesn't mean I just love hot moms.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
You want me to share the
no.
link? Let me share the link to that too, Chris. Send it over.
I'll keep that one though.
All right.
Here's last week's guest, Chris Cabral. Do you use voice command on your cameras, or do you just turn them on and leave them running?
I use a DJI, this one here, and that has a wireless mic. I don't have it with me, but the wireless
okay.
mic for that is a remote for it, so I can stop and start recording with the remote.
There we go.
That's smart. That's smart.
Very smart. Diggs is being good and quiet over here. Yeah, you are, Diggs. Being
Always.
respectful tonight. Appreciate you.
Oh, man.
All right. Good stuff, man. We're going to wrap this thing up here in a second. Chris, anything you want, anybody, any sponsor, anything like that you want to shout out before we wrap this thing up and get you out of here?
Yeah, 6 Cents. They've been behind my back this whole time. I mean, they've supplied me with a lot of stuff and with like new releases and stuff like that. So they've been a great help in Waterland as well. Kayaks by Bo is my shop over here in Brevard County, and they've been helping out a lot.
We're going to clip that. We're clipping that, Jeff.
Throw that up there again.
that.
Let's see it.
Clip
I can't
it.
find it. There it is.
There he is.
Bo knows kayaks.
Yeah. So, and then those are the two main guys that have my back. So, yeah.
All right. That's good stuff, man.
What do you think
Good
it's
stuff.
going to take to win this tournament? What's your prediction for the 2-day total?
2-day. Some people are saying over 100 each day, but I doubt it. I'm thinking probably in the high 90s on both days. So, I think 97 to 98 each day.
And you said it's starting to warm up a little bit. The fish are getting a little bit more active. So you're still coming off obviously the tail end of that big cold front that just pushed
Right.
through. So you think that's probably going to keep those giant bites to hopefully a minimum and not somebody have 523s on one stringer.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. It takes a little bit of time for the water to warm up and for the fish to actually try to move up. I'm not even sure what the moon phase is, so that has a lot to do with it too.
I think we had a full moon the other night. I'm not 100% sure. I don't just stare into the sky often, but I think we did. I think we did have a full moon a few days ago.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get some rain as well. So
Of course,
that's
why
gonna
not?
throw
It's a fishing
nice
tournament.
Yeah, it's gonna throw a nice little curveball into the mix, but it does usually do a lot better when there's rain coming down. So
Okay. All right. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. And, people said you were the Florida Russ Snyders. I think you actually, the way you break down kind of the technical aspect, you do remind me a lot of Russ. So that's probably why you have all those trophies
Yeah,
on
it's
the wall
like-
back there.
Like that's like what you said. It's some big shoes to fill, and I don't know why they think I'm the Russ Snyders. of
Hey,
Florida,
we're going to find out in a few days, pal.
but yeah.
He ain't the Russ Snyders or nothing. He's the Chris Mitchell of Florida. Son.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. All right, Chris. Appreciate
Good
you.
luck,
All right.
man. I hope we get you and Blake Abbey on 1 and 2 next week. That's
That'd be
what
sick.
I'm waiting on.
Yeah,
you go.
I appreciate you guys for having me on.
Anytime, man. Take care.
Chris Mitchell, everybody. That was
I
good,
like him.
man. He gave it up.
Knowledge,
Gave it
man.
up.
You can tell he's got some swagger. He's gonna come out swinging at Kissimmee. I'm gonna be watching the leaderboard on that one for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Hopefully, we have, like you said, him and Blake and maybe a couple other favorites get up there in the top. We can get them back next week. So here we go. Good
Charlie,
stuff.
I'm
Remember,
definitely into stargazing. I find myself stargazing often. It's usually inside and it's a popcorn ceiling, but I still pretend.
So remember, the giveaway is not to the live audience tonight. It's to the audio podcast listeners, which if you're watching live, all you have to do when we're done here in about 30 seconds is jump off of here, open your app on your phone, bop, 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 review, and you're entered. Next week we'll announce who wins. Beep, bop, boop, you win.
Oh, wow. Sorry, Randy. Now you know. No, we're doing a giveaway. You just have to beep, bop, boop, whatever Papa says.
Beep, bop, boop, on
over on your little smartphone device and leave us a review about how trash my beard is, apparently.
That's right. Or my glasses.
It's the go-to.
Or pale complexion, it seems, on the mic. On the camera.
Oh, man.
Yeah, over on, it's got to be Spotify or Apple Podcasts, either one. I will collect those comments and pick a winner, and we'll announce it next week. So there you go.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. One more in the books. Jeff, we're done. We'll see you next week.